it's work out what are the problems your customer has, what are the things that they're struggling with, the issues, frustrations, concerns. I mean, it could be opportunities, it could be aspirations, but it's those things that are going on in their world. Try to get three of them, brain love threes, identify those, and use that in the way you're reaching out to people, in the way you're structuring conversations, writing your LinkedIn stuff. When you've got clear on that, it'll change how you go about stuff, because you stop talking about you start talking about them. So this is a real solid foundation for what we're doing now, is that we consult, we help people understand what's going on in their world, in their life. And that's why we use that kind of questioning tool, spin or something, to where they are now, where they want to be, or further apart. Again, I think a shift into the modern is that we used to do that for ourselves, as salespeople, so we could present a solution. Now we're all about helping people to think.
Welcome back to Made to Grow, the podcast for ambitious SME manufacturers, brought to you by Flowlens MRP and MES software. This time we dive into the art of relationship-based selling with Fred Copestake, founder of engineering-focused sales coaching business Brindis. In today's oversaturated business environment, creating, building and retaining customer relationships is becoming ever more challenging. Prospects are overwhelmed with AI-driven email campaigns, whilst feature-centric sales pitches fail to connect with the underlying problems they're trying to solve. Fred dives into the challenges and opportunities for standout, relationship-based selling, and how you can diagnose your current performance and refine your sales processes and personal positioning to stand out from the crowd. Let's dive in. So welcome folks to the latest episode of Made to Grow, and I'm delighted to welcome Fred Copestake, who is founder of Brindis. Thanks very much for joining us, Fred.
No, it's a pleasure. Thank you for asking me.
Not at all. It was great, and we bumped into each other serendipitously on LinkedIn a few weeks ago, and connected over all things sales and business development. So it was quite a lucky meeting. And I thought it'd be great. First of all, if you could share with the listeners a bit about yourself and your background, and then we'll get into some interesting conversations about the state of sales and sales techniques in 2025, almost 2026.
Yeah, well, I'll do the fast version then, so we can get into the good stuff. But yeah, Fred Copestake, founder of Brindis, which is a sales training consultancy. Last 25 years, I've been around the world 14 times. I calculated that one because I was bored one day. But I've worked in 38 different countries, trained over 10,000 salespeople, which is, I mean, it's a real honour to do that, a real privilege. But what it's also helped me do is understand what challenges salespeople have and how we can deal with those. That's my job, to help them do that. But seen that firsthand. So that's what led me to write my first book in 2020. So that's selling through partnering skills. So here we get the first sort of, where are we going with this? It's to think more like a partner. But yeah, that came out in 2020. And I thought it would really change the world. Something else came out in 2020 which changed the world even more.
Exactly, sucked all the oxygen out of the world for 2 years.
Didn't it? But it was funny though, because so I was locked down, same as everybody else. Watched all of Netflix, same as everybody else. I got to the end of Tiger King, and I thought, you know what? There's probably better things to do with my life. But seriously, there was like the changes that were going to happen were happening, and others that are going to come down the line are coming down the line quicker. So I actually wrote a second book then, Hybrid Selling, which is around getting our heads around this speed of change stuff. And then, constantly finger on the pulse as to where we're going with this and what works best with customers. Last book came out end of 24, which is ethical selling. So all about how we look for a win-win-win scenario. So win for customer, win for the company, but the salesperson, the individual, has got to have a win for their conscience. They've got to be able to look in the mirror and say, hey, I've done a decent job here. I'm right.
Yeah. I know. I think the world needs more of that.
I definitely think it does. Yeah. but that's why I wrote the stuff. When you're writing something, when you're putting a model out, you're helping people to get their head around doing something better. You've got to be fairly convinced that it's what the world needs. Otherwise,
yeah,
what's the point? Yeah.
Well, I think not to go off on a complete tangent, but it's that sort of you create the culture that you want through your actions. And if you're not selling ethically, then it's just a race to the bottom. It's the opposite. It's lose, lose, lose. Ultimately, your reputation is the thing that's going to take the biggest hit. And I think that's the tragedy about the way some sales practices are going these days, particularly the kind of heavily PE backed, sales on steroids kind of operations that you see assaulting our inboxes every day.
They are assaulting it. They really are. But I question how effective that really is. I just spend loads of time deleting stuff. I don't read it. And I'm sure that's very cleverly written. They've got AI mass personalizing it, but it's not interesting. And I mean, you're talking about the changes. I know you wanted to touch on this. That kind of customers aren't stupid. There's that much information out there now that if we're not picking up on the fact that they're well informed and they can work stuff out for themselves, and they're going to get quite picky and they kind of know the stuff that salespeople are doing. If we're trying to be sneaky beaky and tricky about it, and all that good stuff that used to happen in the 80s, bad stuff, it's just not smart. That's why the ethical approach and just being very open, transparent, honest, taking people seriously, giving them space to decide, and empathizing with what's going on in their world and demonstrating you understand that. That's where we're at. That's where we're at, and heading even more towards it, I'd say.
Absolutely, because I think, people are time poor. They're even more risk averse. There's so many more opportunities to be ripped off, or at least be sold the wrong thing. So sales has probably got an even worse name than it had for particularly for naive buyers. So that opportunity to partner with customers and really, as you say, sort of understand their world, and then if you can deliver a solution, offer your best proposal. If you can't, walk away. One of the things I wanted to ask, in terms of that shift from 2020, I've found it incredible. Like there's what used to be something that was reasonably consistent in terms of a sales cycle, and also a pattern across the year, has gone completely haywire and hasn't really settled down ever since. And that's coming from a software in selling into manufacturing world. Do you see that within the engineering manufacturing community itself, that sort of certainty?
Yeah, I mean, it used to be very predictable, didn't it? August, well, put your feet up. Yeah, I mean, even to the point of being predictable for the week. I mean, manufacturing don't really do anything on a Friday afternoon. In fact, factories shut. I remember when my first job was out of factory at Lichfield, and they knocked off at 12:30. We stayed till 1:30, I think, and then kind of went, So I don't know if it's because the world is getting smaller. People are more used to kind of using technology to communicate. We're always on. People want stuff faster. They're trying to respond to things quicker. WhatsApp, that seems to be the latest thing. I mean, moving to email, everything had to happen faster, didn't it? But now if people want things even faster, they're shoving you into WhatsApp and let's set up a WhatsApp group. No, it's not. I mean, customers, yes, absolutely. I'll set a WhatsApp group for you if you're listening. But everyone seems to want to do a WhatsApp group, so you're at their beck and call. So I think probably that's why time and perceptions of time and this immediacy that we need to do things has probably changed a little bit.
And what hasn't changed? What are the fundamentals that of selling and building relationships that are constant?
Yeah, I mean, it's just funny. I mean, we got a little bit of time, haven't we? So, I mean, if I sort of look through, in the first book, I actually did this little sort of journey through the decades as to kind of how sales has shifted, but what's still the same. And you kind of go back to the 50s, and you'll sort of see that sales was all about process. It was a rebuilding era, wasn't it? It's about being effective, being efficient, and that's what we still want to be. So we're going to still use process. But there are some slightly modern twists on that there are. In process, I'll talk about structure and framework and templates and things. They weren't bothered how to make videos in the 50s or write social media posts or things like that, whereas we are now. But that's still about using process. 60s, psychology. Yeah, look, we want to understand people's thinking styles and adapt to them and help them think, because we're presenting information that's easier for them. 70s, and that's the same. That's absolutely the same. Modern twist is you can find someone's personality before you meet them by plugging something into LinkedIn and Humantic or Crystal knows them. 70s benefit selling, and what's in it for somebody? Same. Feature, advantage, benefit. People don't buy the drill, they buy the hole. Or actually they buy the hole to put the hook in, to put the picture on with the wedding anniversary date on it. So they don't forget. And I think we understand that stuff better now. And so, again, where there used to be a hell of a lot of product training, and a lot of your listeners will be product training, you encourage people to talk too much about product and not to the problem. And it's that problem that I keep forgetting my wedding anniversary that I want to solve, rather than have a hole in my wall, or rather than have a really spangly drill. So again, there's these little shifts on the stuff that was the same, but how we're upgrading it.
Yeah.
80s was that close era, wasn't it? And like manipulating customers and fighting them and objection handling and some of that stuff we've been. It's not useful anymore. It still hang around. People still think it's clever. But let's take that sales is still stepping through a process and moving on to the next step. And so then in the 90s, that was where we had this big change, this sea change of consultative selling. So this is a real solid foundation for what we're doing now, is that we consult. We help people understand what's going on in their world, in their life. And that's why we use that kind of questioning tool, spin or something, to where they are now, where they want to be, are further apart. Again, I think a shift into the modern is that we used to do that for ourselves, salespeople, so we could present a solution. Now we're all about helping people to think. And then this is a kind of a theme which you see getting stronger and stronger moving forward. So when we talk about the noughties, was value-based selling. Value, it's like beauty, it's in the eye of the beholder. So we're bringing perspectives, insights, things which can trigger thinking and help people think about stuff for them. And then that helps us understand, so we work on it together. 10s, I talked about sales stature. I didn't know any other word for this. It was like how you position yourself as being the go-to person, having the right reputation. You said it earlier, didn't you? Yeah, that's the person I want to deal with because of how they are, and I know that that's what they do. But we can use tools to do that, like LinkedIn and things like that. You deliberately position yourself. And then in the 20s, which is obviously why I wrote that's why I wrote the book. It's all about this collaborative approach. So that's what I think this has taken us, that we're more collaborative. We think like a partner. There's ways to do that. So that we are alongside customers and we're working with them towards common goals to help them do stuff. And there's a distinction in how we have that conversation than even a consultative one where we talk at them. Not talk at them. We're asking them questions so that we can then put our solution together. We're building the solution together.
The Made to Grow podcast is brought to you by FlowLens, the simple, affordable MRP system specifically designed for SME device, equipment and machinery manufacturers. Our top-rated cloud-based software can help you cut down on wasted materials, time and money, and eliminate the chaos of running your manufacturing with spreadsheets and hope. Our customers have reported savings of over a day per week per person in their business by cutting out needless admin, duplication of work and countless mistakes. Plus, lead times are shortened by up to 75%. And after hundreds of successful implementations, we've got the blueprint for manufacturing success nailed down. Head over to flowlens.com for a quick video tour of the software and to hear from more manufacturers like you who have transformed their businesses with FlowLens. Now, back to the interview. So, what does good look like? How do you know, what sort of characteristics do you need to be exhibiting today to know that you're doing that collaborative partnership selling well?
I mean, I think curiosity has always been something that good salespeople have, and being genuinely curious as to what's going in the other party's world. And that for me starts before the sale. It's not just rocking up and asking a few questions. It's really researching them well and thinking, okay, this person, this role that I'm going to go and speak to, these are probably the things that they would be struggling with. Yeah, these are the problems that they have. So if I've got my head around those problems, I can actually lead with that. probably use it to get the appointment anyway. Is rather than saying, hey, look, we're bloody brilliant. We're the best company in the world at doing all these things that we do, which is what everyone says, to be fair, don't they? Nobody says they're second best. Apart from, was it Hertz? Hertz or Avis did that? So we're the second best, so we try harder, which actually was dead clever.
Yeah.
Everyone says the same thing, particularly engineering space. Yeah, all the websites look similar. Sorry if you're listening, but go and have a look at your website, and if you've got a picture of a wind turbine, a jet fighter, a racing car, probably same as everyone else's. But if you start calling out people's problems, this is what you will be struggling with, then you're more likely to enter into a discussion at a better place. So the curiosity starts earlier, and we have to assume, actually. You know that whole ask you me thing and don't assume. No, you do. You do assume. But it's an intelligent assumption around this is what is likely to be getting in your way. That is more likely to get you, yes, come in. You're the only person to be speaking about that. Everyone else is boring the whatever off me about how ace they are. You've talked about my favourite subject, which is me. So in you come, let's have a chat. That'll be a big shift.
Yeah. It's don't kill them with features. I think that it's interesting because there's similarities in the software world where, you know, we can anticipate the kind of problems that people are having, and we're asking those questions when we're in a discovery call, for example, to qualify has the person actually thought about this enough, because in our world of selling manufacturing software, it's really not just a new piece of software. It's a whole system change in a way of thinking, and bringing that authority and that experience through that kind of a qualified assumption is a good way, obviously, to relate to their world and maybe qualify them out if they haven't thought about it hard enough.
Or help them to shine the light on it. But one of the things I've seen that a lot of people do in particular the engineering, I mean, you're selling software, you talk about software, but it is into this engineering space, and it's likely to be quite technical people doing it. One of the things I've seen people do is, well, first is this entitled approach, I call it, where it's like, well, we're so brilliant, it's just obvious you should buy our stuff. The product sells itself. Well, if it really did, why are you there? So, you know, that's kind of weird. But there's also this engineering superego that can kick into play, which is the way we do it is best. Yeah, do it our way. We can sort your stuff out. You're stupid. Yeah, you need me.
Yeah,
that's not the smartest way to go about kicking off a discussion with somebody, is it? Basically, say you're better than them. I've seen it, and I was chatting to an engineering company about this. I said it can really kind of, it can annoy, it can frustrate customers. And they said to me, "Oh, our customers hate us." I said, "What? All of them?" Because they're not all of them, but some of them. We do exactly what you said there, Fred. We come across, we're better than you. Our ways, what you've got to do. How didn't you work this out? Let us save you. And it's not so smart, is it? Rather kind of being empathetic around the problem that they have and exploring that to help them get these realizations by bringing insight to the party.
And how do you help teams like that who probably are really good and they're rightfully proud of what they do, but completely patronizing when it comes to the customer? How do you help them, over a series of sessions or weeks, or evolve their thinking into a more empathetic?
Well, the first is call it out. So say it to them, and then if they want to fight me back, it's like we're probably not going to get anywhere, are we? But like this group, when I put up this thing, I put entitled approach, engineering superego, entrenched depth perception, which is the other thing, which is often engineers will dive in to try and solve the problem really quickly, rather than just step back and actually let's really understand the problem together. It's call it out so they recognise it. I'll say this group, when they say, "Oh yeah, that's us," I haven't explained it yet, and they went, "Oh no, but it will be." And that's when they said, "Oh yes, we wind them up so much." It's help them to realise that and that it's not helpful, and then kind of provide the antidotes to it, which is actually but more often not to do with process. It is to do with problem solving. It's just the way you go about it. So the engineering brain is really good for selling. It's just that there are some things which are a bit counterintuitive and you have to learn how to do that actually you don't try to impress somebody with how ace you are so they want to talk to you. That's the one that backfires. It's impress them by how much you know about them. Then they'll be, hey, come in, you get us. And you probably do because you've solved a ton of problems like this. So there's a couple of little things which just seem a bit weird until people understand it. And then it's kind of put in a process which helps people basically do 5 things. So this is quite simple. So we've got to find the right opportunities. So they're people who we can really work with. We've identified what the problems are and that we can do something about that. We then do that research on them so that we can go deeper and we really do understand what's going on in their world. That sets us up to have the right conversation. And this is a conversation where we're taking this mindset of being the sense maker, helping them get their head around something, which means that then we can start to work together on the right solution, which is all about then delivering the right outcomes. They're the 5 parts of selling, really. Now, you could argue what I finished on there, the right outcomes, is where we start, because people buy outcomes. They buy results, don't they? So it's like, well, if this is the kind of outcome we're delivering for people, that's who informs the ICP, the right opportunity that we should be looking for. So it's just giving people that kind of structured way of looking at this stuff so that they can do it time and time again a lot more effectively. It's process.
Sort of bedside manners for engineers.
Well, it's process first, yes. So follow the process, and then we can start to tweak some of the interactions and some of the bedside manners, as you say, the interpersonal stuff.
There's an awful lot we could cover, and I'm curious about the hybrid working piece because that was obviously born out of COVID, as you said. How has that rebounded any, or how has hybrid selling? Sorry, how is that looking today versus even 2 years ago?
Yeah, do you know what? I don't know. I think we're going through another change. I've really got my finger on the pulse of this one because I think we've kind of gone, hey, this is awesome. We can save so much time and effort. We can do a ton in the day. We don't have to spend a load of time sat in the car visiting people and doing whatever. Though, to be fair, a lot of engineers would still do that because it is a hands-on job, and I think they find it a lot easier. And it is a lot easier, isn't it, if you're selling a tactile product? But when I say I'm just stopping and taking check I don't know if we're going a bit far and people are missing that human contact and are kind of actually liking getting back in the room together and sort of just enjoying having real people, having real conversations. But I don't know. What have you seen? I know it's your podcast. You're asking questions, but I want to fire that one back at you.
Well, yeah. I mean, I was just going to say. I mean, anecdotally, in terms of customers that I speak to, it's that sort of rebound effect of the joys of being able to do 7 or 8 meetings on Teams or whatever during the day and feeling really productive. Soon suffered for the lack of that human contact and. People getting out of the habit of visiting, or not that I'm a huge fan of trade shows, but certain trade shows or trade body, or events are a good way to connect with people. And having, those habits having changed, I hear a lot more people saying, "Yeah, I want to get out again. I want to see what's happening out there." But there's still this sort of time pressure thing. Like you hit the nail on the head earlier on with, email is bad enough, but now there's WhatsApp. And the sort of nagging need to do a reply because you're letting that person down. We've all been so conditioned now to respond to the ping. But I'm not sure where, there's an answer in this, but it's just that people are defensive of their time, but they appreciate the human contact. So I think they're more selective in the relationships, and it sort of comes back to another question that I wanted to ask you.
Well, just sorry to interrupt you just before you do that, but you said trade shows. I mean, trade shows, if you think about it, they're brilliant for doing live Teams calls. In other words, you get yourself there early, you find a place in the bar, and you've got a whole bunch of people that are meeting you every half hour.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's not a Teams call at all. It's like just a ton of back-to-back meetings where you're super affected, but you're there live and the person is there and you got all that kind of buzz going on around you.
Yeah,
And that's a really good use of time at those.
Yeah, that's true. I know it's a lot cheaper than taking a 10 grand or 50 grand stand, depending on the size of machine you want to put onto it.
Dead right, yeah.
In terms of the deal origination, so our inquiries, how are you seeing that evolve, and what element? I know this is probably less on the technical sales than the lead generation side of things, but again, it comes back to where we are today, where people are finding it. They know they've got a great solution. They know that they have maybe got a more relationship based approach to their sales, but they can't get the foot through the door, and because of this bunker mentality. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, there are lots of email solutions being sold on, though, which will be incredibly well positioned, saying, we said earlier, we can mass personalize this, so we can take information, we can wrap it up so it's calling out the person's problems. I mean, that'd be better than a "we are great" email, but people just still get so many emails, so we've got to cut through the noise.
Yeah, they're part of the problem. They're not the answer. Yeah,
they are. So it's like, yes, what might appear very attractive, particularly if you haven't really been doing it yourself before, it's like, oh yeah, that sounds easy, and that we can send out tons of stuff and it's hyper personalized and that. But we're getting loads. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we get loads. So for me, it's about probably doing less but better, and better is by standing out. So I'm a bit of a stuck record, aren't I? In like, back to what are the problems that people are experiencing that you can deal with. Talk about that. That will get some kind of attention. But think about, how do we get that message across? Yeah. I quite like video at the moment. I think that's pretty cool. Is sending people video. So sending a video in an email, that is probably different enough. Ooh, what's that? I will press that. So use something like Vidyard or whatever. You could send that in LinkedIn as well. Mm-hmm. Again, connect, and then everyone says, "Oh, we're great." Oh, God, leave. A little video just saying, "Hey, look, I'm connected because we deal with these sort of things," which you probably have got. Oh, you understood me. Nothing about yourself. I mean, picking up the phone and calling people. Good old-fashioned cold call. But again, using a structure to go back to, I'm calling you because this is the sort of stuff I suspect you'll be trying to deal with. That's how we're going to get through the noise, is with relevance, actually, mm-hmm. rather than personalisation, because we all know you can just do that using clever tech. The relevance piece is what really works.
Yeah.
Worst case scenario, send them a shoe in the post. I actually did that. As somebody I really, really wanted to speak. So it's quite an expensive version. You don't have to send expensive stuff, but by sending a shoe, I put a little QR code in it. Mm-hmm. But really, it was so that I really wanted this guy's attention. He was a CEO of a company. So when I rang up, I went to the reception. Hi, can I speak to so-and-so? Big boss. They said, "Oh, what's the connection with?" I said, "Well, it's to do with the shoe I've sent him. See if he thinks I'm an idiot or not." And they went, "What?" I said, "It's to do with the shoe." They said, "A shoe." I said, "Yeah, shoe." "What shoe you put on your foot?" I said, "Yeah, shoe you put on your foot." And they're just like, "So this is really bizarre phone call. I'm just going to put you through." Then I got through to him, and he goes, "Oh yeah, I got it," because I thought that's quite funny. It's quite clever. Bang, we're into the conversation. So,
exactly.
Lumpy mail.
Not going to forget
it. A bit quirky, which again, a lot of people in a more traditional industry are thinking, "Oh, I can't send a shoe. Don't send a shoe." Or something silly. I sent them a sample. No, that's what they would expect. It's something they wouldn't expect. It's the curiosity. It's the quirk. It's the weird thing that gets the response.
Yeah,
stand out, be different.
Exactly, because every channel is saturated. Even LinkedIn. Which I have a sort of love-hate relationship with LinkedIn, but it's great. It's great for connecting with people like us. We've got connected. It's great for picking up on trends and so on, but it's also like some days, every other post is somebody's attempt at a ChatGPT spiel about something, and it's a bit like those emails. You can see them a mile off, and the risk there is that the platforms allow themselves to be diluted and abused, but good content does stand out, personality stands out, and good stories. stand out?
Yeah, I mean, if your listeners are using that or thinking of it, just a very quick way to get your head around using it, I'll talk about 3 posts a week: educate, engage, and entice. Yeah, engage, picture your cat, picture your dog, selfie view, doing something interesting. And before we go, "Ugh," yeah, because you're selling yourself. We want to know a little bit about the person behind. And actually, that's the stuff that drives interest. If ever you go on a plane, take a photo on a plane, put some comments about where you're going. People love, they're nosy. People are nosy. They want to see what you're up to. Yeah? Make it about Ryanair. You'll get tons of interaction, I guarantee you. Did that the weekend. We're up to about 60,000 impressions or something stupid. Okay, that's not really selling anything, isn't it? So the entice is, I want you to go and do this. I want you to take this scorecard. Can I drop a scorecard in at the end of this so people can see what it is? And then they get in touch with me. Oh, that was subtle, Fred. No, so go and do this. So come to my webinar, take this scorecard, DM me for information. But the one where you'll really do a lot of benefit is with the educate post. So this is where you're giving information and it is written for your ICP. It's written for your customer. Half the people on LinkedIn, no, 99% of the people on LinkedIn won't care about it. But that's not the point. It's the people that you want to talk to who go, that's useful. That's interesting. This guy gets his stuff. This girl gets her stuff. 3 sorts. We can easily do those. And the easiest way to write your educate one is just on a Friday go, what's the most interesting question I've answered for a customer this week? Right, okay.
Exactly.
Write about that. You didn't say who it was or what it was, but just put, okay, bang, question, there's my answer. Yeah. There's a picture with it, great. That's the one that's hyper relevant.
That's the thing. I mean, we underestimate how much gold there is in our everyday interactions with customers. You sort of take it for granted, but the inspiration is there. If somebody's
asked you, somebody else is probably thinking it, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. Well, Fred, we're sort of running out of time, and usually I ask customers, my guests, to give
is that a presumptive close, Rich?
Yeah, subtle, very subtle. More subtle like your scorecard. But you've given us quite a few nuggets there. But I always ask my guests to leave us with one last sort of, if you're going to do one thing as a consequence of listening to today's episode, what would that be?
I mean, I've alluded to it all the way through, and so I'll just underline that one. It's work out what are the problems your customer has. What are the things that they're struggling with? The issues, frustrations, concerns. I mean, it could be opportunities, it could be aspirations. But it's those things that are going on in their world. Try to get 3 of them. Brain love 3s. Identify those and use that in the way you're reaching out to people, in the way you've structured conversations, writing your LinkedIn stuff. When you've got clear on that, it'll change how you go about stuff. Because you stop talking about you start talking about them. And that's the biggie.
Bingo. Perfect. And how do we connect you with listeners, and how do they get your scorecard?
Well, as I say, assuming you haven't cut the scorecard piece out we said earlier.
Don't worry.
I mean, if you drop it into your show notes, that'd be cool. Or there will be on my LinkedIn profile that at the top. It'll probably say free thing for engineers or something like that. I have a couple of scorecards, 1 to 6 seconds. I'll put the problem or prospect one in because that basically backs up the stuff I was saying. But LinkedIn, yeah, go to LinkedIn, Fred Copestake, and let connect. Don't just follow, connect, and send me a message saying you'd heard Rich and I speak, and give me some feedback on it.
Sounds good. Cool. Well, Fred, thanks very much. It's been a real pleasure chatting today. I've learned a lot myself, so a few actionable things for me to take away, as well as hopefully our listeners. So thanks again for joining us, and have a good day.
My pleasure.
Cheers. As usual, I always learn something new, and I hope you did too. Who knew shoes had such interesting other uses? There's no room for another homogeneous sales pitch. Stand out creatively and authentically to reach your audience. Be sure to visit Fred's free scorecard via the show notes to assess how well you're engaging at the right level of the customer problem. Until next time.